to make this quick little video about this Macintosh 2CI because I'm extremely curious about a couple of things, and I'm wondering if somebody can explain some of them for me. Now, I'm not worried about the machine itself. I'm not worried about what condition its condition is in. I know that the logic board was recapped because it was purchased in that condition. But the one thing that's interesting about this is that most of the time this won't power on. It just simply refuses to do anything. In fact, I'm sure if I unplug it here, let it sit for a second, and I go to power it on again, it might work. No, see? It is refusing to power up. I do think I know why it's doing that. And it has something to do with what's called the trickle power supply. Because these have what's called a 5-volt standby circuit, and that's how the soft power works on a Macintosh. So I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to let it sit for a second. I don't believe it's going to work because of the low voltage there. Yeah. So it was running, and now it's not running. So clearly we definitely have a problem here. But one thing I'm very curious about is that I have this power supply which came with the machine. I have no idea what condition it's in. I don't know if it's been recapped or not. But I have this power supply, which, as you can see, is a General Electric, as opposed to this, which is an Aztec Custom Power. Both of them exhibit exactly the same problems. But I'm wondering if there are any differences between these two power supplies in their construction. I kind of doubt it. They're probably exactly the same power supply, built to exactly the same spec, but I'm curious about that. And the other thing I'm curious about, how would you force one of these to power on? Because, you know, with an ATX power supply, you can jump the PS on connection straight to ground, I believe is what it is. Just going from memory. I believe you can do the same thing with these, but I cannot find anything anywhere that explains how to do it. So I'm greatly curious. Further testing, I haven't been able to get the machine to power on since that little bit that it was running. But unfortunately, I can't really do this because I don't have a tripod handy and I'm using a phone to record this video. This GE power supply here is putting out, if I can get this in there, come on. At least it was. Is it still plugged in? It is still plugged in. Oh, I see why that's not working, because yeah, I really need two hands to do this. Wow. 5.64, yes, I put the hold on. So there's that. If I do the same thing across here, we have that. Power supply is not running when you do that. If I short it, you might actually see this in the power supply. Thing doesn't want to sit. It's wonderful. You might even hear the click. Meter reads 0, and we are powered on. However, if I go to put it in the computer, I can just about guarantee you that it is not going to work. And the other interesting thing I noticed is that this Aztec power supply fits in here so much nicer than the GE does. I find that kind of interesting as well. Okay, GE's in place. You heard it work there. You put it in, plug it in, starts pulling juice. Nothing. No reaction from the computer whatsoever. So I guess, really, at this point, I'm kind of at a loss with this thing because I don't know what I should be seeing and I don't know what I should be looking for. I've never owned a 2CI before. I've never owned a 2CX before. So yes, you'd be correct in saying that I have no idea what I'm doing, because I don't have any idea what I'm really doing. I know basic electronics theory, but knowing how the circuit is designed and how it's supposed to behave when it's working properly would be very useful, and I don't know any of that information. For instance, the power switch. To my line of thinking, the power switch should be a signal. It's either high or it's low. And again, to my line of thinking, that's either open or shorted. A system like this with soft power obviously needs a way to get a signal to the power supply to turn on. And the way that this is designed, that signal has to latch. Now, how that latching is done, I have absolutely no idea. I haven't looked up a schematic for this machine or anything else, if the schematic is even available, which it probably is, because people are making reloaded boards for these. I don't think you'd be able to do that without the schematic. I mean, you could guess, but I'm sure the schematics are available now. Having said that, it has to latch somehow. How that's done, I don't know. But the interesting thing that I observed is with the meter in ohms resistance mode, if I meter it's called the PFW pin, to 5 volt. I'm trying to think about that. Yes, I think it's to the 5 volt standby. Maybe it's to ground. Either way, actually I'm pretty sure it is the 5 volt standby, because this is different from an ATX power supply. In ATX, you jump PS onto ground. So in this case, you're jumping the 5 volt trickle output, which 5 volt standby, to the PFW, and providing 5 volts to it. When I meter that with the switch out, I get infinite resistance, which is normal. That's the way it should be. But when I hit the power switch, the resistance slowly drops. It doesn't immediately drop down to nothing or close to nothing. When I let it go, it slowly goes up. So there's a capacitor in here that is being charged and discharged by that. And maybe that's how the latching is done. I don't know. But to me, that seems kind of strange, because the interesting thing is, well then, how would the power supply ever know to shut off? It would just keep running for however long it takes for that capacitor to discharge. Maybe that works just fine in circuit. But there's definitely some weird things going on with this. I don't know. And I could buy one of those stealth power supply replacements, but quite frankly, those are not worth anywhere close to the cost that people are charging for them. You know, like they're charging $200 for a board and some parts that are probably worth about $20. It's the same thing with the Blue SCSI. I just don't think the Blue SCSI is worth it when I can go on eBay and buy a used hard drive in working condition for less than a quarter of the cost. It's really just kind of stupid what they're charging for these things, because they don't cost that much to make. So I'm sorry, but I don't really think that your $200 that's markup. That's what that is. I'm at a standstill with this because I'm at a loss. I don't really know what I'm looking for, what I should be looking for, what I should be seeing. It's like 2 o'clock on a work night. I need to get to bed. But I figure I would wrap this up. And if anybody's got any information about what I should be looking for, what should be going on, etc., etc. Like I said, this thing has worked. You saw it working earlier in the video. I haven't been able to get it to work since, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to work now. Plug it in, and pretty sure that it's toasted. Yeah, it's not running now either. So, I don't know. I'm at a loss. So, thanks for watching. If you've got any comments or any information about what I should be looking at on this, because I don't know if it's a power supply, I don't know if it's the logic board, I don't know if it's both. It could be both. I know that these power supplies, probably the GE and the Aztec, because I imagine they're the same design, but I'd like to know about that. They have problems with the 5 volt, but the 5 volt seems to be working just fine. So I don't know. I'm at a loss. I've never owned one of these before, so I don't know what I'm doing. And I would appreciate some guidance if you have guidance to leave in the comments down below.